And we are live. Welcome to the Connected for Real podcast. I'm Bat-Chen Grossman, and today we are talking about Yom Kippur, and it's a new year, people. It's exciting. And, there's this jitteriness about we're being judged and what's going on, right? So Yom Kippur is the day of judgment. And actually, to clarify, it is not a scary day. It's also not a sad day. It is a happy day. And it's a celebration. It's a holy day. Okay. It is obviously a high holiday. It's a very, very holy day, but it is meant to be happy. And the happiness is based on the fact that God has created a day that is built into the calendar to forgive us. You basically have a guaranteed forgiveness every single year on this day. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's something that we can look forward to and appreciate and be grateful for, because having that opportunity is a real gift. And I remember my mother saying about certain kings and different parts of the world where, like, if you had to speak to the king, or if you had to approach the king and he didn't like what you were wearing, or he didn't like something you said or something, he could just put you to death. They were very scared of the king. They were very petrified of going in front of the king. And actually, the King of Kings, God, is good and he's kind, and he wants us to come, and he wants us to approach, and he wants us to get close so that he can forgive us, so that he can love us and shower us with abundance, right? That's all he wants, is that relationship with us. It's that connection. And I love that. I think it's really a different angle than maybe something we're used to hearing. So thank God we have this opportunity that is coming up. There's a new year coming. It's really exciting because I love new things. I love opening up new art supplies and, using them for the first time. I love starting a new journal. I love all the things new. And sometimes I hold myself back from starting it just because I like it so new. But that's something I'm working on also, is to allow myself to enjoy the new things. Anyway, there's something really fresh and really cleansing about the high holiday season. And one of the things that is coming up a lot is the concept of tshuva, which is loosely translated as repentance or return. And it's when you ask for forgiveness and you return, to your source, to yourself, to God. You leave all of the layers of separation behind, and you just let them go so that you can be more connected. And it made me think about, what do you really focus on? Are we focusing backwards or are we focusing forwards, right? Because a lot of people are going into their history, they're delving into their past, and they're looking for, what did I do wrong, and how I did it so bad, and I feel so sad, and I can't believe I ruined my relationship this way, and so on and so forth. And it's a little bit hard for me to see people going so deep into their past that it almost consumes them. And on the other hand, you have people moving forward. They're like, I don't care about my past. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. I just want to move forward. And so they end up subconsciously self-sabotaging because their brain is built to protect them based on what happened in the past. So you are going forward, but you can't get through, and there's something holding you back. So you definitely can't be living full force backwards or forwards. And so where does the balance come in, and what exactly do we have to do in order to find that return process. So it reminds me of a story that I really love. One of my friends, Leora Mendel, she had a class in her house. I think it was every Tuesday at the time when I was going. And one of the things that came up was this concept, right, of how much do you focus on the past and how much do you move forward without really caring? And she says you can't do either. It's like driving. When you're driving forward and you're moving forward. So you have to be able to look forward. But without a rear view mirror, you're going to have a lot of missing information. You're going to have a lot of dangers coming your way that you're not aware of. And when you need to make maneuvers or take certain, moves in the road, you're going to have to be able to look at the rear view mirror or the side mirrors and see what's behind you in order to be successful. On the other hand, if you're staring into the rear view mirror, you're going to crash because that's not where you're going and that's not what you're meant to be staring at. So that's the balance. The balance is focus forwards, move towards your goals, move towards the things that are calling you, that will that we spoke about that lives inside you and is guiding you, telling you where to go forward and how to proceed. And also be open to hearing what is coming up from the past that is almost like giving me a hint of, hey, I need to look back on this to just make sure I am not causing myself any slowness, right? Like there's no weight that's pulling me backwards. So this is something that I love to do. I actually had a session with one of my clients last week that was so powerful and was really about this. It was going back in time to find the little nuggets that we needed to hear in order to move forward. So we didn't really delve into the past as much, but we just collected the information we needed. And then we processed it to see how do we move forward. And it really was very, very powerful. I love it. I love it. If you are interested in working one-on-one with me, I just want you to know that that is available only right now in September. You start in September or you sign up by September 30 and you can get 3 months of one-on-one with me and you get access to all of my stuff, my sessions, my trainings, the meditations. You get access to me on WhatsApp and you fully get support. Like I am 100% there with you. And that's why there's only 4 more spots. Thank God. So make sure you grab your spot if you are interested. Don't wait until the last second and don't wait until it's too late. The only other way to work with me in the past was through my masterminds and my groups. Right now, my masterminds doors are closed and I'm serving them in that closed container. So the only way to work with me now is this one-on-one opportunity for 3 months. And the investment for that is $2,500. Okay, so $2,500 for 3 months. And it is a really good deal. So I'm excited about that. By the way, common question that comes up, do I work with non-Jews? Yes, I do. I find that God-centered women, even when they're not Jewish, are super aligned and we can really get so much out of it when we bring God into the situation. And I don't think you need to be Jewish in order to do that. So definitely reach out if you're interested. Okay, so some of the things that I wanted to talk about is the fact that in Yom Kippur, we are disconnecting from our body a little bit, right? So we don't eat or drink. We don't wear leather shoes, which is like a comfort, right? We separate from our husbands. We don't lotion our bodies like oils and things. We're really trying to stay away from the distraction of the physicality in order to connect to our soul. And people who are into like body cleansing and, doing these fasts or these cleanses, they'll tell you that there is this hump where in the beginning you get hungry and thirsty and tired and right? Like I'm fasting. And at a certain point, the fast breaks and something opens up. And that something opens up is this raised level of connection with your soul. It's suddenly being able to think clearly. It's suddenly being able to focus more on the things that matter. So this is what it's all about. It's about taking one day to really connect so that you can come back to yourself, so that you can return to the source, so that you can really cleanse. And when I say cleanse, I love that, in one of the songs on Yom Kippur, it talks about being a vessel, how we are a vessel. And when I was preparing for birth with my sixth, so this was 5.5 years ago, I went to a doula who told me something really beautiful. She said, if you had a bowl sitting out on the counter and it sat out for a long time, and then, you decided to use it, so you fill it up with water, the water is going to have this like thin film of, that like dust that sort of accumulated throughout the time. And you're going to look at this water and go, ew, that's gross, and throw it out. Right? So what here is dirty? Is the water, or is it the vessel? Right? And yes, the water itself is not dirty. It just went into a dirty vessel, and so it became dirty. And that is what happens when we sometimes can sit stale. We could sit for a while and not focus on ourselves and just fall into this overwhelm or into this rhythm where we're running after the things we need to run after, and we don't take time for ourselves. We don't sit down and process, and we can't really pull it all together to process and cleanse whatever is happening. And as that happens, and it happens to all of us, we end up a little bit, like with a film on us. It's like, not so great. It's not so dirty, but it's also not super clean. But the problem starts when the abundance comes in, when God pours into our vessel. And then what do we say? Ew, it's dirty. Ew, this isn't what I wanted. This isn't the husband I asked for. Ew, this is like super difficult. Why do I have to deal with kids that have this thing? Or what's going on, right? Like anything that is a blessing, but we end up seeing it as a curse. We don't see it as a good thing. We don't feel like it is an abundance. And we fall into this like reaction that is very normal, but we have to understand that it's not because the abundance itself is dirty. It's not because the abundance itself is bad, because everything God does is good. What happened was when the good was poured into us, we weren't ready for it. We were sort of stale. And so in order to receive abundance, in order to allow for things to come into your life, if you want to get married, if you want to have children, if you want more money in your business, if you want more clients, anything that you want that is allowing the goodness into your life, your first step is to prepare yourself as the vessel so that you can cleanse. And by the way, it's less about us cleansing ourselves. It's more about us opening up so that God can cleanse us, right? And in that same place in the prayer, it says, about God cleanse us, like I am the vessel and I ask you to cleanse me, is really beautiful, because really, what control do we have over how cleansed we are? We need God for all of this. So it's a really beautiful concept. And this is why I invite you to come work with me. And specifically now in the month that is so packed with holidays and feels like it's overwhelming, quote unquote, and hectic, specifically now I want you to commit. And by the way, the commitment is time-wise is very little, but the amount that we do in that time is so impactful that all you have to do is show up. All you have to do is commit and show up once every 2 weeks. And if you don't do anything else, it is enough. And that's amazing, because as a busy person, that is totally, totally up my alley. Of course, you get all of the sessions to watch and all the meditations to do, and you can go crazy consuming it all, but you don't have to, because there's something really powerful about doing the work and then allowing God to do the rest, almost opening up that opening that we spoke about last week, and then allowing God to widen that opening and really create something out of it. So I love that. Then I was remembering about the song, the little kid song, "We're going on a lion hunt." You can't go over it. You can't go under it. We just have to go through it. And something that came up is, for me, that I had to work with and work through, is holding myself back from moving forward. And I've been, seeing this pattern in myself where it's like I want to move forward, but I'm not, and then I'm trying to figure out why. And I finally realized it's because I'm afraid to go through it, because going through it is going to be messy and it's going to be scary and it's going to be hard. So I might as well just stay on this side and continue hoping that I was just magically on the other side without having to go through it. When I realized this, and thank God to my coach, it was so helpful because then I was like, you know what? Then I could just make a decision to go through it and to get all the parts of the process, not to try to avoid getting dirty, not to try to avoid getting messy, but just sort of going through the messy and going through the dirty to get to the other side. It really released a lot of that resistance, I have to tell you. And I wanted to tell you about that because when we can go through whatever life is bringing our way, and whatever God is sending our way, and by the way, God gives you the strength and the ability to get through it. So it's not like I'm not sure if I'll get to the other side. Like, it's guaranteed you'll get to the other side. All you need to do is just move forward. So it ends up taking away a lot of that resistance, a lot of that self-sabotage, a lot of that like holding back. And now you can just flow. And I found that in my own life, in the last 2 weeks since I spoke to my coach about it, I've just been so different about a lot of what was holding me back. And I see a real difference. So I'm loving that. And I wanted to share that with you so that in case you see that in your own experience, that you are afraid to get through the messy part, just know that the messy part is just part of the process and you need to trust the process. And you're guaranteed to get to the other side. Just like God guarantees that we will be forgiven. Isn't that nice? It's like when you talk to a friend and you say, hey, listen, I hurt your feelings and I'm really sorry. You don't know what she's going to say. She might be like, oh yeah, well, blah, 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 I'm never talking to you again. And you're like, what do I do now? It's so uncomfortable. It's so scary. You don't know what the result is going to be. But with God, the result is always success. There's 100% success rate, right? Like you come to God and you say, I'm really sorry. I did all these things and I want to connect with you. And I see that I've all these layers of distance and I don't like that. And God says, okay, you got it. That's why I made Yom Kippur. That's why I made today, so that you can have a guaranteed forgiveness. It's like 100% success rate. Who would not go for that? Isn't that amazing? Now let's talk about the four levels or steps to teshuva, to return, or to coming back to God, because even there, it's really nice because you see that backwards forwards thing. Okay. So vidui is the first one, and it's basically awareness. I have sinned. So we always say in coaching, awareness is 90% of the work. If you're aware that you did something wrong, is like all the work of just bringing you to awareness, like making you realize something isn't right, is ta-da, it's all, it's all there. So you're doing good. If you're aware, it's amazing. Okay. Step 2 is harata, is I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want to, I didn't want to do it. I don't think it was a good idea. Awareness that there is a separation between me and God, that there is something that I've done or that I tend to do that keeps me distant. And then realizing that I don't want that. I don't want that. And you see how we're going backwards, forwards thing, because I don't want that for my future, right? I don't want that for my present. It's not so much like, oh, I feel bad that in the past I didn't have the relationship with God, and now I'm feeling like, sort of drowning in that past, ickiness. No, it's that I'm realizing that I want it now, and I want a relationship with God in the future. By the way, we talk a lot about God baggage in my program. And it's because even if you have a healthy relationship with God, and even if you grew up with, religious or observant or whatever you want to call it, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that you have a healthy relationship with God. And it also doesn't guarantee that you're not carrying God baggage. And God baggage, what I mean by that is things that are weighing you down and holding you, like slowing you down from moving forward. And it's usually things like, oh, God is so demanding, or I'm so angry with God because he doesn't, he shouldn't don't known better. Or what's another one that is a really popular one, he's out to get me, right? He like nice to everyone else, but he just keeps picking on me. Things like that. That's all garbage. It's beliefs. You might feel like it's really fact. It might feel really true. But if it's making you suffer, if it's making you weighed down, then it is 100% a lie. And we look into that and we ask, why am I so angry? Why am I so annoyed? Why am I, distant? Why do I feel like I just want to turn my shoulder a little bit and be like, annoyed, angry, frustrated? Why am I feeling so heavy when I talk to God, or when I think about talking to God or approaching God? So this is something that's really important to heal. And by the way, in the flow system, I have my calm method and my flow system. In the flow system, step 1 is find God in everything. Okay. So dealing with the God baggage, healing whatever God relationship, and being able to connect to God and bring him into your business, into your marriage, into your life, is going to create flow. It's going to be amazing. Okay. So that's something that we work with a lot. Getting back to our process, the formula of how to return to God, right? So we said awareness and then being sorry, right? If you say awareness, but then you're like, well, you deserved it, it's not going to help, right? It's like, hey, I did something wrong, but you deserved it. And, I don't care. Obviously, that's not the way to go. So I've sinned and I'm sorry. And here's where it gets really nice, because there's the next 2 steps. They sound the same, but they're actually different. Step 3 is I must leave this sin. So separating yourself from the sin. And step 4 is next time I'll be more careful. Next time I'm going to be more aware. You'd think that if you left the sin, then you obviously are not going to do it again. Or if you've taken upon yourself to not do it again, then you've left the sin. But there's actually something really powerful about letting go, about allowing God to just pick it up off your shoulders and press the restart button. And since God recreates the world every single moment and he's constantly with us, he has power to do that. He has the ability to refresh and restart and lift any weight off of us that we allow him to take. And so there's something really powerful about bringing God into that process as well. Okay. So obviously, if you're doing something wrong and you're like, yeah, sorry, but I'll just keep doing it, it's not going to work, right? You have to stop. So step 3 is stop. And then step 4 is when it comes up again, you have the ability to say no. You keep to your commitment to stay connected. And those are 2 different things, but they feel like the same. So it's really nice. Now, all this is in regards to God, us and God. But when it comes to us and people, right? Us and our fellow man, there's a little bit of another step, which means I actually have to address this as well. And that's where the calm method comes in. And I want to talk about that for a couple of minutes and then wrap up because I don't want this to be too long. But I think it's important to know how to approach your husband, wife, child, neighbor, coworker, boss, whoever, and friend, neighbor, and do it in a way that will actually get results. Okay. So the calm method, step 1, connect to yourself. Step 2, ask for abundance. Step 3, listen for the answer. And step 4, master a higher level of consciousness. And as you see, this is an acronym, CALM. So step 1, connect to yourself. Before you approach anyone, before you talk to any other human, you sit down with yourself, and you can connect to yourself through meditation, through a walk, through journaling, through whatever means of connection to self you know works for you. And just ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I want from this specific relationship? What do I want from this person in my life? Right? And if I've wronged my husband, if I've wronged the neighbor or my friend, and I think to myself, what do I want from this relationship? Actually, I really love my husband and I don't want to distance myself, and I don't want to hurt his feelings, and I don't want him to be angry, and I don't want this atmosphere of getting at each other, and I don't want to feel this undercurrent in the house, right? So there's a lot of things. Well, notice that I said I don't want. So, it's important to get all those out. And what do I want? I want a good relationship. I want a good atmosphere. I want to feel comfortable being myself. I want to be able to speak my truth and speak my emotions without feeling like I'm going to be attacked. Okay? So those are what I want. So step 1, connect to yourself. What do you really want? When you have those really clear, then, and we're still not addressing the other person, step 2 is ask for abundance, ask for help, ask for guidance, turn to God. Because even in this situation, God is here to help you. Remember, there is guaranteed forgiveness and there is guaranteed assistance. God is here to be at your side and to help you. So you have step 2, which is ask for abundance. After you know what you want, you come and you say, God, I need your help to heal this relationship. I need your help to make sure that this is a good direction, that this is something that is going to work, that he forgives me, right? And then step 3 is listen for the answer. This is when you actually go and ask for forgiveness. And you say, I really want to have a good relationship. I really don't want to hurt your feelings. I don't want to be, that type of wife who we are at each other's throats all the time. I want to have fun. And you communicate what you want and you ask for forgiveness. And you just see what happens. Now, listen for the answer is here because you don't know what the answer is going to be. You can only do your part. And then what happens on the other side, who knows? Who knows as your husband says, oh, you're right. I love you too. Thank you so much for apologizing. I'm really sorry if I hurt you also. Great. Move on. But then, some husbands could be like, yeah, well, I feel like you're doing it on purpose. And I feel like you don't even care. And I feel like blah, 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 blah. And then he throws it back at you and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? That's fine. Listen for the answer is whatever the answer is okay because God is with me and I'm okay. I am safe. I am okay. And whatever the answer is not about the other person. It's always about me and what God wants me to hear and what God wants me to process. So we're always taking responsibility over ourselves, the only thing we can control. And when we have interactions like these with people, we remind ourselves that they are just a messenger. They are just an answer to our prayers. They are, where I'm going to get the next step, right? I'm listening, I'm attentive to getting the answer from the step before, which is ask God for guidance and help and, and abundance. So I don't know what's going to be, but I'm ready to hear it. I'm ready to receive it. Okay. Then there's step 4. And step 4 is master a higher level of consciousness. Once we go through the process of connect to yourself, ask for abundance, listen for the answer, right? We connected to ourselves, we turned up to God and brought him into the situation, and then we faced whoever the person is. Now we got to close that circle and bring it back to ourselves. Wow. Is there something to celebrate? Is there something to be grateful for? Is there something to be really excited about? Can I think and celebrate what just happened? I just healed my relationship with my husband. I just, feel really loved. I feel really received and held. Yay. Or is there something that I learned from this experience? Is there something that I can harness from what just happened, from this exchange? And as we said, sometimes you're going to get a lot of nuggets of gold, but they're not going to feel right, right? And it is your job to then go and process that. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, and how I've been doing it is I have my coaches that I go to for different things. I have my soul therapy coach, all about the spiritual, and I have my business coach who's all about the technical. And actually they work really well together because it's so related. I love taking the end of that cycle to the people who can help me process it and be like, what do I do with this now? How do I digest it? Right? And that process, when you're able to use whatever happened as fuel to propel you forward, that's when you're going to be able to raise your level of consciousness. That's when you're going to be living a life from a different place. You're actually going to be a little bit higher, a little bit straighter, a little bit more aligned. And doing this enough times throughout your life and throughout your day is going to adjust that much more your ability to receive, your ability to contain, your ability to be that vessel and that light in the world. Okay. So those are the 4 steps. It's the calm method. I love that I'm able to review that for you. I think it's really important. I wish you a good year, a sweet new year. When you're on the bus and there's a conversation and someone else is on the phone, but everybody is hearing what she says. So this woman was on the phone and she said, oh, I heard this great thing. We say happy sweet new year, like honey, whatever. And why are we saying that? So really, in reality, God is always good. Everything is always good, but it doesn't feel good to us. So we say it should be sweet to us. right? So we should be able to see it as sweet. And that goes back to what we spoke about with the vessel. We should be able to see it as sweet and as good and as abundant when we can prepare ourselves. So again, I invite you to email me or message me in any form if you'd like. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm on LinkedIn. I'm always on, WhatsApp and my email. Let's see if this is good for you. I am inviting you. There are only 4 spots left to work with me one-on-one privately and get my eyes on your process and my heart with you in the journey that you are going through. So I would love to continue the conversation there. Okay, have a great year. I love you all, and I will see you next time.